Hi, everyone. As you begin to enter, I want to welcome you to our Summer Transition Series webinar on Staying Well in Your First Year. I'm going to give it just a minute or so. It takes a second for people to enter in from the waiting room. And so if you'll give us just a moment to get started, we're thrilled you're here, but settle in. It's a great conversation that we're going to have this afternoon. All right, folks, so we'll go ahead and get started. I have respect for your time and the panelists' time. I want to thank you again for being here and joining us. My name is Ben Adams. I'm the Director of New Student and Family Programs here at Duke, and thrilled to have you with us for this presentation on staying well, just wellness at Duke, and really kind of how you can take care of yourself during your first year. I'm joined by several incredible colleagues who are here to answer your questions, for us to get to know a little bit more about their offices, and for you to just better understand the resources that are at your fingertips while you're at Duke. To give you just a couple of logistics before we introduce those panelists, let me give you just a little bit of background information, some logistics things. First and foremost, this webinar is being recorded and will be available online. We'll send a link in next week's digest to revert you back to this webinar in case you need to use it, but it will be available on our YouTube page. We've disabled the chat, so if you have questions, don't use the chat function. Use the Q&A feature. We have a couple of colleagues behind the scenes as well who are able to answer some of your questions. They will likely type those responses and point you to resources. If one of our panelists references a website, for example, they'll be able to point you directly to that website. But then we'll try to answer some of the questions live as well towards the end. So if you do have a bubbling question or one that's pressing, then certainly feel free to use that Q&A function down at the bottom. Let me take a second just to introduce you to our panelists. We're joined by incredible colleagues who represent a whole host of the holistic approach that we take to wellness here at Duke. So Duke is very serious about wellness. We want to make sure that you are above all else well while you are here at Duke. That's the only way that you can be an effective student in the classroom, but also a great roommate and a great classmate to those who are your classmates and colleagues while you're here. So I'm going to introduce our guests today. First, we have a representative from Duke Student Health, who is Ellen Crawford. You're going to hear from Ellen in just one second. She leads a lot of our work around immunizations and can answer questions around that. We have a representative from DuWell, Michelle Johnson. Michelle will be talking a little bit about our work with DuWell and how we can support you in your just ongoing health. Counseling and Psychological Services is here with us as well, and Lisa Adams will share a little bit more about her and her team's work as we get to that point. And then finally, we're joined by two of our colleagues from Duke Reach, Sarah Peacock and Tara Wade, who will be able to answer questions about the work that we do, kind of more in an active approach to making sure that you are taken care of while you're here. So let me just go ahead, and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so that you can see all of us here and see us well. Let me just start off with just a general chance for our panelists to just introduce themselves, maybe share a little bit more about the services that your specific office provides, and then maybe just as a fun question at the end, what's a piece of advice you might give them, perhaps pertaining to your office, that they might kind of think about and marinate on at this point in their transition to Duke. So let me start with Ellen, because we had you listed first. Ellen, I know that also we've got some deadlines with your office right around now. So Ellen, if you kick us off, that'd be great.
Sure. Thank you, Ben. And first of all, congratulations to you all. So this is a very exciting time in your lives, high school graduation and acceptance to Duke. So that's, thrilling. So I know there's a lot of activity going on in your lives, and thinking about what you need to do to get prepared for Duke is probably not the highest thing on your list right now, but we're here to help you through that. So I just want to let you know that student health kind of acts as your primary care office while you're a student here at Duke. We have medical practitioners, we have physicians, nurse practitioners, PAs, we have a lab, we have an immunization clinic. We have kind of a doctor's office that is available to you while you are here at Duke, and we are here to help you with that. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30, but we always have a triage nurse on call. So if you ever have any medical concerns that you're worried about, you can call the number that's on our website. And you'll get that number quite frequently once you're a student here. And then triage nurses can then give you some advice as to whether you need some home care, whether you need to go to urgent care, or whether they think it's serious enough that you need to go to the emergency department. But just please know that we're kind of here for you to help you through any kind of not only illness, but wellness that you may need while you're here at Duke. So the first thing on the agenda is, of course, immunization compliance, and that is set up by the state of North Carolina. They require that all students complete a series of immunizations that is required by the state and by Duke by the 30th day of class. So we don't want you to wait till that 30th day of class, because once you arrive here at Duke, it's going to be very hectic. You're going to be very involved in orientation. You're not going to have a lot of time. You're going to getting moved in, getting used to all the great stuff that's going on here. So my one piece of advice is to please try to get this done early. The deadline, one thing that is a little bit confusing for people is the deadline that's listed on our website for the immunization compliance, the submission of the records is June 15th, which is next week. So we really want everybody to kind of pay attention to try to get your records in by June 15th. That doesn't mean you're going to hear back from us by June 16th. So we are processing records for the entire incoming university graduate and undergraduate. So it does take our office several weeks to get through all of the records. But what I would encourage you to do is to really keep an eye on your Duke email, because once we process your records, we're going to send you an email to your Duke email that says you've received a message on your Student Health Gateway, and then you have to log into your gateway to read that message. And that message will let you know if you have fulfilled the requirements or if there are other things that you need to do to complete the requirements. So again, my one piece of advice was please don't let this go, because once you arrive here, you are not going to want to get, nasty emails from us telling you that we're going to pull you out of class. And there's going to be too many fun things for you to do once you get here. So as much as you can, try to get everything done before you get here. And again, welcome. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ellen. Appreciate you. What your piece of advice was to get it done early and to make sure that we get the immunizations knocked out?
Get it done early and don't ignore your email.
Awesome. That's great. That's an advice from our office as well. So great. Let me turn now to Michelle Johnson with DuWell. Michelle, tell us a little bit about the work that you provide.
Thanks, Ben. Hey, everyone. I'm so excited to share with you today about DuWell and what we do at Duke. DuWell is the programming arm of the Student Wellness Center. We focus on, as Ben said earlier, a holistic approach to wellness. What we want is to teach students how to be mindfulness, how to focus on their well-being, practice self-care, so that they are able to prevent having to take further steps to address their wellness later on down the road. So it's kind of, if you get it early, maybe you won't need to go to some of the other offices. So what we do is we provide students with tools to promote wellness as well as manage risk. Data shows that some of the three issues that students face on a college campus today are stress, anxiety, and sleep. So we try to give you, offer some resources for you to help address those issues. We offer a set of programming called Moments of Mindfulness. Those programs happen on a weekly basis, typically in the Student Wellness Center. There's no registration, no fee required. As a student, you can just show up. Some of those offerings are knitting, drum circles, yoga, painting, just to name a few. We are currently working on our schedule for the fall semester, so we'll hopefully have possibly 10 to 14 different offerings for you. We also offer Koru mindfulness. Koru is meditation, where you learn some breathing techniques to help you de-stress and to focus on your breathing and to just help you take better care of yourself. We also, you know, when you look at college students, everyone, there's a lot of parties happening, not everyone, but when they do happen, we want students to be safe. So we offer social host trainings that teach students the signs and symptoms to look out for, students that may have had too much to drink, and we want you to be safe. So we just try to offer that education for you. And we also have oasis spaces where students can relax and recharge and re-energize. There is an oasis in Oasis East, which is in Bell Tower Dorm. Not sure if you heard of the dorms yet, but keep that in mind. And then we also have one on West Campus in the Wellness Center. Both spaces has massage chairs and some other wellness related items to just help you get away from all the stressors and just take a moment and relax. I believe our email is going to be in the web and on the chat here, and you can go there to see all the offerings that we have. We also have a wellness newsletter that goes out on a weekly basis that provides all of the wellness focused events that are on campus. So not just wellness, but our colleagues as well. Thank you for listening.
Awesome, Michelle. Michelle, what would be your piece of advice for folks?
Oh, thank you, Ben. I would say we hear from so many students that they wish they would have known about what our services. So hopefully you're listening and taking notes, and you'll remember to check out wellness and the Oasis spaces for sure. It definitely has helped students just get away from the hustle and bustle. So check us out.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. Let me turn to my colleague over in CAPS, Lisa Adams. Lisa, can you tell us a little bit more about the services your team provides?
Yes, happy to do that. Hi, everybody. It's great that you're here. I'm really excited that you're coming to Duke. It's such a great place, and you're going to have a blast, and it's going to be really hard. So that's why we're here in CAPS. We are counseling and psychological services. We provide free counseling, psychotherapy groups, psychiatry, medication management for students while they're at Duke. We use primarily, I'm not going to get into too much into the weeds, but I'll tell you the couple of things I think are important for students coming in. We're on the 3rd floor of the Wellness Center, so that's really important. We're open, sort of regular business hours, and we'll have phone number that you can, a confidential phone number you'll be able to call after hours, which I hope to be able to tell y'all what that is soon. It's a mystery right now, but we're all going to know it really soon. But I think the main thing to know is that you can walk into CAPS anytime between 9 and 4, and we usually have one evening a week where we're open late till 6 or 7, and you can walk in during those times and get started in service. We do brief solution-focused therapy here, or if you want to get a provider like you have therapy at home where you live, you'd like to have therapy while you're in school, we can help connect you with local providers. We have a panel of about 110 providers that provide take Duke student health insurance and provide therapy. The copay for that is $10. The services in CAPS don't cost anything. And we're happy to do that. My advice is, please don't think that any trouble is too small, because we're here. Everyone on this call is here to support and help you while you're at Duke. And it is our joy and our life's mission to do that. And so, even if you think it's just like I'm just mad at my roommate, feel free to come in, because we'd rather help you on the front end of things than wait until things are really tragic. And then you're having to do damage control and all of that. So, take advantage of the services that are here. There's so many services at Duke. You're going to be super overwhelmed, but just know, hey, it's all on the website, and check it out. And you'll see us a lot in all the different places that you look at Duke and Duke Student Affairs, but please do come on in and see us, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Awesome. Great. We'll get back to some of the questions. I'm sure that there are questions that are being generated in the Q&A. I can see a few that have already popped up, and I'll circle back to them in a second. But I do want to get through the basic introductions for folks. So let me turn to our colleagues over in Duke Reach. A little bit of a different name, might not be obvious what they do, but Sarah and Tiara, let me punt to you all to learn a little bit more about the services your team provides.
Sure. Thanks, Ben. So good afternoon. Congratulations, first and foremost, on your graduation and your acceptance to Duke. My name is Sarah Peacock, and I am Director of Duke Reach, and I'm joined by my colleague and Associate Director of Duke Reach, Tiara Wade. And as Ben mentioned, it's not obvious what we do in our title, but Duke Reach is essentially a fully functional higher education case management office. What that means is we connect students to resources. That's it. Both on and off campus to meet the needs of students and address any challenges that may arise during their time as students. We kind of have two primary functions in our office. The first is advocacy. So we meet with students who are experiencing challenges, and we get them to the right place to help them address those challenges. The second big piece that we do is intervention. So if we have students exhibiting concerning, threatening, aggressive behavior, we want to assess that situation and determine what might be an appropriate intervention or resource for that student to balance the safety and the needs of that individual student with the safety and the needs of the campus community as a whole. A good way to describe what we do is if you have an issue or someone you know is experiencing an issue or a challenge and you're just not sure where to go, or you're not sure what's available, Duke Reach is a great place to start. So many of us are licensed mental health counselors or social workers, but we do not provide clinical services like CAPS might. Instead, what we're doing is gathering the information that you have to share, and we're determining, okay, what are some available resources that you might want to take advantage of? And we sort of run down that list and help you make the decision of what seems like it would be most helpful for you. We meet with students for a variety of concerns, everything from academic issues to family emergencies, mental health or medical situations, roommate conflicts and interpersonal conflict, really anything that could potentially pose a barrier to your success as a student. We are interested in hearing about that and then getting you connected to the right place. Typically, students are referred to us through a referral form on our website that can be filled out anonymously as well. So if the concern that you have is for a friend or someone you know, and maybe you don't want to get directly involved, but you want to share the information, that would be a great option for you if you want to report something, but remain anonymous and not be connected to that information. My biggest piece of advice when you're coming into Duke is don't be afraid to ask for help. You will need it at some point, inevitably. And as Dr. Adams mentioned, you would rather ask that question and get help early on rather than let that situation become bigger than it needs to be. Asking is free. You can ask anything you want from our office, and we will do our best to get you that answer. So please don't be ashamed or afraid to ask for help. And I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Tiara, to add anything that I might have forgotten and also to share her piece of advice.
Hello, everyone. Again, thank you. Welcome to Duke. I'm excited to see everybody when they get to campus in the fall. Again, my name is Tiara Wade. I don't really have anything to add. Sarah did a wonderful job kind of just summarizing all the wonderful things that we do in our office. And as far as piece of advice, I would say really take the time to explore Durham. I think it's really easy to kind of get caught up in the bubble of just being on campus because there's so many, resources and things that kind of are provided here on campus. So it'd be really great to make sure that you take the time or you're intentional about exploring Durham and, like the different stores and shops and just finding ways and be a part of the community as well, because it's a really great place. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, y'all. I really appreciate you sharing this information with us and giving just an introduction to the work that you do. I know that there's some questions that are beginning to come in that are going to be super specific, and they might be to one particular office. But let me ask just a general question that I'm going to open up to anyone to chime in. I'm wondering, is there perhaps a common misunderstanding about your office or about the work that you do that you'd like to just kind of, before students even get here, maybe set the record straight about, either the types of services that you offer or what it is that's kind of within your portfolio, or how people might be able to access you and when they can access you, and the services that your team provides. I mean, not everybody all at once. It's
I
totally,
know, I'm sorry, Ben.
you're doing-
I didn't get my second or fourth coffee today, so sorry. I was thinking, one of the things I think that can be confusing transitioning from high school to college is thinking about, sort of the mental health services that are available. It's really different. So your high school counselor is more like an advisor, or your academic dean would be at Duke, and then the mental health services really focus on that and doing therapy. And then the other thing that we run into a lot at Duke is that students will want to come to CAPS sort of, like every week for 4 years, and that, that's a different. We don't have quite enough for that. So, we really try to balance our services and also our partners in the community. And we usually are able to really get students really good care, but it's kind of a partnership rather than just sort of like a, one-stop shop kind of thing. But those are the two things I think at CAPS that might be helpful for students to know.
Can I just clarify one thing you just said, Lisa? So
Oh,
when
okay.
you all are working, no. When you all are working with students, sometimes there's a case in which you might say, hey, we've got a great off-campus partner, or we've got someone else that's a colleague of ours. So when you can't provide the service because of capacity reasons or whatever it might be,
It could be, yes, that's exactly right. And it could be for any reason. So let's say you really want to work with a clinician who does a specific thing, and we may not have that here, or a clinician that has a specific identity, and we may not be able to do that at CAPS right now, but we might be able to do that through our wide network of partnerships. So we also have an online counseling partner that's available to students as well. So we're usually able to really meet students' needs through those 3 avenues, but sometimes we have to do a little figuring, and we usually sit down and talk with students for 20-30 minutes and really try to get a sense of like what their needs are, and then helping them come up with a really good solution for what's going to work best for them. We really aren't able at CAPS to see people like weekly, and a lot of people really like that weekly therapy. It keeps them kind of chugging along the way they like to be. And so, those are likely be one of our outside campus providers, but we definitely want to be that point of contact for you to help you get into the community and get to the right person the first time, if we can do that.
awesome. Thanks for that.
I'll
Others?
jump in and add something. So I failed to mention Duke Reach operates 8:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And there sometimes is sort of a confusion in the difference between services that case managers provide and services that CAPS provides. And so to clear some of that up, at Duke Reach, we do not provide clinical counseling like CAPS provides. We are more so of a referral agent. So we take information in, and then we get you where we need to go. Another piece that can sometimes be confusing is when students want to report a concern, sometimes they are requesting that CAPS reach out to a student. And CAPS, for lack of a better way to put it, they don't recruit. CAPS is not going out looking for students to bring in. Students need to self-identify to be seen at CAPS. Duke Reach works a little bit differently. If you have a concern about a student, we actually will reach out to that student if it's appropriate, to let them know, hey, someone's concerned about you. Tell us how things are going, and we will sort of initiate that conversation. Whereas CAPS essentially is working with the students who walk into their office or who contact them proactively. So that's a little bit of a difference between the services that we provide and the services that CAPS provides. Sometimes that can be confusing for students.
Thanks for that, Sarah. Michelle or Ellen, anything to add? Provide?
I can't think of anything per se that students find confusing, but if I could add something, I didn't really address the feeling of belonging and loneliness, which a lot of students are going to go through that. When you come to campus, you're leaving home for the first time, and you may not know anyone. if you partake in some of the programs that we offer, we've noticed that students have been able to build community that way, because sometimes it can be hard to do that on campus, on campuses like Duke. But that's something to keep in mind, that you know, everybody is not a partier, everybody is not into Greek life, everybody is not into the same things, or not athletes or what have you. But you can always find students with similar interests in some way. And I definitely think that coming to the Wellness Center, you should be able to find somebody that you can connect with.
Thanks.
I think the one thing I'll throw in is it is a little bit of a misconception that the students can just walk into student health if they're not feeling well to be seen. But we are an office that does require appointments. So again, we have that phone number that you can call at any time to get advice from a nurse. But if you actually want to be seen by a provider here, you do have to schedule an appointment. We try to get you in the same day. If we can't get you in the same day, it's typically the next day. So yeah, that's kind of one of the misconceptions that we have here.
Awesome.
Ellen, and if I'm not mistaken, making appointments, is that you prefer phone calls?
Yes, we'd like you to call the number. And we really, we oftentimes get parents who try to call the schedule for their students. But once you hit 18, we are not allowed to talk to your parents anymore. So that's a change for a lot of people. So it's kind of a good learning curve for everybody to learn how to schedule appointments, doctor's appointments, because I know when you're at home, it's really common for your parents to do it for you. So, and keep in mind, our staff all has gone through that. So we're very patient with you with that. So don't worry, but it is kind of up to the student. We don't share information with parents once the student is 18 unless we have written permission.
Thanks for that. I'm going to pause for a second from the questions I had and turn to the Q&A chat. Ellen, you shouldn't be surprised that some of these are for you. So they're regarding immunizations, and I'm just going to kind of ask bigger questions perhaps than the specific ones on here, but can you clarify a little bit about international students and vaccinations, perhaps in scenarios where the vaccination that was provided in the home country does not necessarily align exactly with what's required in the United States, or particularly in North Carolina, because it is a North Carolina-based thing. And perhaps if you can, speak a little bit to health insurance as well. I don't know if you have the capacity to do the full spiel on health insurance, but for international students as well.
I am not the insurance coordinator, and you do not want me to be the insurance coordinator. That is a complicated thing, especially here in the United States. I can tell you from an insurance point of view that Duke is still contracting on who our insurance provider will be. They hope to have that pinpointed next week, and I have been told that all of the incoming students will get an email directly from the university regarding the insurance plan that is to come. So don't stress about that yet. All the international students will need to enroll in our insurance plan. That is kind of a policy here. I do expect there to be a lot of information written coming to you via email, because they are a little bit behind on that because of the contract that has not been signed yet. So that is the one thing. And speaking of insurance, I can tell you that all the services that you have done in student health regarding vaccines or labs or any of that type of thing, you can come to student health and not have a copay, because that is covered under your health fee. But if you have anything specific that needs to be done regarding tests, imaging, vaccinations, that is all charged to your insurance company. It's all billed to your insurance company. So we will not bill you while you are here. Regarding the international immunizations, that does get really tricky, because different countries have different requirements based on what your country feels is necessary for the community of the health community, their health community. So a lot of the immunizations that you have received or may have received may not align with what is required in North Carolina. We understand that, and that's okay. when you get here, if you need to catch up with some immunizations or to complete an immunization series, we're going to help you do that. We're going to be set up at Penn Pavilion specifically for the first years on Saturday, August, that's the 19th, on move-in day. We have that set aside just for first years to come and receive any of the immunizations that they may need to get them started. From there, if it's a series of 2 or 3 vaccines, we'll send you reminders as when your next vaccine is due. So any of you who are international students who will need TB testing, just keep in mind that that does have to be done in the United States. We can't accept TB testing that is done outside the United States. So again, we will be set up for about a week at Penn Pavilion for you to come and get that TB testing done.
That's helpful, super helpful. I know that there might be follow-up questions as well. Can they, for specific questions, what's the appropriate email address?
Sure, for specific questions, email immunizations, and that's with an S, at duke.edu.
Great.
We also have on our website a list of frequently asked questions that's usually pretty helpful. And we've tried to include a lot of things in there, but check that first, but feel free to send us an email and we'll get back to you.
And one of the follow-up questions that's there, do all students have Duke and health insurance, and it is an additional cost? I mean, I guess that's a case-by-case scenario, as you said, with the exception of international students being required to be on the Duke policy. Again,
I'm not the expert on this, but I know that if you are going to be under your parents' insurance, you need to complete a waiver to waive out of the Duke insurance. So, and that I know has a deadline. And I have had friends whose children have not done that and they have been charged a hefty fee. So pay attention to those emails if you are planning on staying on your parents' insurance.
Well, I'm going to open it up to, I'm going to remind our attendees that they are more than welcome to ask their questions that are in the Q&A function that's available. But let me turn back to just perhaps some general questions for our panelists. The nature of preventive care and preventive support. I mean, you know, in your realm and in your world, we've talked a lot about it, I think, and we've touched on it a little bit. I'm wondering if you might just illuminate a little bit more about the role that plays, do you think, in incoming students' well-being, like preventive care?
Hey, I know this is like Michelle's thing, but I wanted to say, sorry, thing is like a Southern thing for you guys. Is the thing. Anyway, I realized when I said that it sounded super Southern, so sorry about that. I think prevention, and I like to think of it more like well-being or wellness, right? Like just keeping yourself feeling good, doing the little things every day that help you feel like your best self, or even maybe not even your best self, but your good enough self, right? I think those things are really important. And at Duke, unlike so many schools, we have an entire department that does that. And it's such a beautiful thing. DuWell does such a good job. That the community that's built there, the really cool, fun, amazing stuff that they do is, I think, so helpful to students. But there's all kinds of things all over campus that really focus on like keeping you healthy and well. We have lots of cool places to work out. There's beautiful places to walk and hike. We have lemurs. Like, I don't know where you're going to get lemurs anywhere else, but it's so peaceful and cool to go like hang out with the lemurs. So I think Duke is a place that can, it can be tough. It can be competitive and there can be a lot of pressure, but it's also a place where there's so much support and care about your well-being. So I'm going to shut up and let Michelle talk about what they do. But I wanted to give you a commercial for like how great Duke is in this way and how much we really care about you feeling well while you're doing well.
Wonderfully said, Lisa. Thank you so much. I don't know what I can add to that. Ben, did I miss any? Is there something else I needed to touch on? I thought Lisa did a great job.
I did want to add one little thing. So something that we like to talk a lot about is just normalizing healthy amounts of anxiety and stress and depression. It's quite normal, particularly your freshman year of college in a new place at, in a pretty rigorous academic environment. It's normal to feel anxiety. It's normal to feel stress. It's normal to be depressed from time to time. When it becomes to the point, if it ever comes to the point where you can't function like you normally would, if you're not able to enjoy things that you used to, if you're not able to complete your daily tasks, that's really when we want to take a closer look and try to reach out for help. But having those initial feelings of anxiety or stress doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. Most of your peers are probably experiencing that to some degree as well. It's still not a bad thing to reach out and be proactive about your health, but also be patient with yourself and have some grace. And it is normal in the environment to feel some amounts of stress and anxiety. So keep that in mind.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. I think the one thing to emphasize, I'm wondering, Michelle, if you might talk a little bit about just as a side plug, Project Wellness itself here in terms of Duke. I know that you've been working actively on that, and we'll talk. Students will learn a little bit more about experiential orientation if they haven't already in upcoming weeks. But I'm wondering if you might give a little preview of Project Wellness and its purpose.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Project Wellness, I'm so excited to be a part of that for experiential orientation. This is my first year of being involved up front and close, and it's really, planning stages are going really well. We have 2 student program directors who have been amazing. They are, I believe, rising juniors, and they are working really hard to put together really fun and exciting things for the students who choose Project Wellness for Orientation Week. There will be a lot of focus on well-being, how we address and identify our emotional well-being, how we focus on taking care of ourselves. We will be offering tools. There will be facilitators doing guided meditations and just a whole host of different wellness activities you'll get to experience. It's definitely going to be something that's fun, but also things that you can take with you to use while you're on campus, even after orientation week. So if you haven't picked your Project Wellness, your experiential orientation project yet, Project Wellness is one you should definitely consider because it's going to be, we're going to give you things that you can use during your time at Duke. And again, a way to build community with other students who are interested in wellness. And then we also have an LLC where it's the living learning community that students can choose for wellness. You guys may be past that time to choose that, but just know that in the future, that is something to think about where we have, again, like-minded students who really want to address wellness and focus on their well-being, that if that's something you're interested in the future, you should consider that as well.
That's great. Well, I want to be, again, respectful of folks' time. I know that there's probably many questions that you might have that are individual questions. I hope that you see Duke as a place that there is an ample amount of support that is here, both proactive, that's available to seek you out when you need it, but resources that are also available whenever the time comes that you discover that you might need them as well. And so we have open doors, hours that are ample so that you can get those services when you need. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about making sure that you take care of yourself and that you're not afraid to ask for support and help. There are a lot of people, and again, Duke puts a lot of time and energy into making sure that you have the resources available to you. One quick plug before we say farewell. I do want to share my screen one more time. Just a plug for our upcoming webinars. You can see that we have 2 webinars that are coming up. They're actually the same webinar, and you can choose to go to one or the other. You do not have to go to both. They'll be the same information. But that's for those of you who are interested in pre-health work. They'll be available on June 13th and also on Thursday, July 6th as well. So feel free to chime in and talk to the pre-health advisor about that opportunity if you're thinking that you are going to go in the pre-health world. It's not required, just a chance for you to learn more. And then in about almost 2 months, on Wednesday, August 9th, we're going to do a deep dive into preparing for orientation and preparing for the transition to Duke. So it will be quite a bit about move-in day, quite a bit about what you need to do to prep to make the actual move to Durham so that you are rocking and rolling and ready to go. So that is all that I have. Any final comments from our panelists? Any final words of advice that might have just struck you as you were sitting here thinking about all the resources at Duke? If not, then let me, on behalf of the students that are quietly watching their monitors and asking these questions, let me applaud you and thank you for not just being here, but the amazing work that you do to support students and to make Duke a healthy and thriving community. So thanks to everyone for joining us. Thanks to our panelists. This will be posted in the next 72 hours or so. So be sure to check back if you need more information. We appreciate you and good luck in your transition to Duke. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.